Good to see you again.
Likewise.
So I don't mention you. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just commenting on a couple people that I see popping up on the screen. While we're waiting, if you guys would do me a favor, I would love it if you would go into the chat and tell me whereabouts in the world you're joining us from. You guys are used to me saying I'm in Alabama, but I'm actually in Michigan today. We migrated over the weekend up to Michigan for the summer. So, as many of you may or may not know, my wife and I chose to move down to Alabama about 2 years ago. We moved down about a year and a half ago, but we have a 17-year-old son, and he asked that we promise him that during the summers we'd come back to Michigan until he graduated from high school so he could hang out with his buddies. And we are, at least what they claim, is officially summer in Michigan. So we're back up here for a few months to honor that with him. So we'd love to hear where you guys are from. I see we've got Australia and Sweden and North Carolina and let's see what else. San Antonio, more Sweden, California, Virginia, Texas, Ohio. So Rebecca says, welcome. I'm actually in the Lower Peninsula. If you guys have ever heard of Gerber Baby Food, I'm in the town where Gerber Baby Food started, a little town called Fremont, Michigan. So grand total, we maybe three or 3,500 people here. So not a lot of people, but a great little community. And it's a nice place to hang out for the summer. So we're excited to be that. Napa, Louisiana, all kinds of good stuff. So yeah, Alicia, I am in Michigan, so we'll have to catch up while I'm here. Alicia and I actually met down in Gulf Shores, in Alabama, and she lives up here. So yeah, always interested in that. In fact, if we've got enough people in West Michigan, maybe we should do a lunch. We did a lunch down in Dallas not too long ago. If you guys are interested, let me know. It'd be kind of fun to plan one, maybe in the Grand Rapids area. It'd be relatively convenient for people. So that would be kind of fun. All right, well, today we're going to dive in. We've got tons of people joining in, but we're going to be diving into Midjourney. Um, a couple things, just housekeeping. We will have ample time for Q&A. I've got 2 hours set aside, so we've got ample time for Q&A. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer anything I can. The primary focus of today is going to be talking to you about Midjourney in creating consistent characters. One of the biggest problems that we've had in AI images forever has been we create a character we like. Now, how do we create that same character again? And while we don't have perfection, version 7 of Midjourney brings us closer than what I've ever been able to get before. And I wanted to share some tips on how to do that. These are Midjourney specific tips. And if you're wondering, yes, Midjourney is a subscription platform. So I believe the minimum cost is about $10 a month. There are other ways you can do this. We've talked in the past in other trainings about using trained LORA models or LoRa models and tools like Flux and Stable Diffusion. But Midjourney is a lot easier way to do it. And we're going to spend some time today showing you how to do that. I'm also going to share with you some other features of Midjourney, just because with the new version 7, there's some new features that are available and some that maybe you just weren't available or weren't aware of, I should say. The biggest one probably being if you've ever tried Midjourney more than a couple months ago, you realize that it only worked in what was called Discord. And it worked fine, but it was a very convoluted way to use Midjourney because it just doesn't make sense with how software works. Now they've got an amazing website. They've got a great user interface. We're going to walk through all of that today and show you guys how that works and create a bunch of images along the way. And again, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So a few things. Replay. Yes, a replay will be sent out to everybody who's registered. It'll happen sometime this evening. So it won't be immediate, but it will go out before morning. You guys will have that. Second thing, we will include with that replay a transcript of the Zoom chat and of this training. So if you've got questions about anything, you'll be able to utilize that and leverage that to make sense. And what else do we got? Oh, for Q&A, if you would raise your hand. So if you go down to the bottom of your screen, you will see a raise hand or a react button. And if you have questions, just raise your hand, then I'll show me. If your video is on, I'm going to pick on Devon in a minute because Devon and I just were in another call. If your picture is on, I'm going to bring you up in Spotlight just like this, and so that everybody can see who you are. And it's just a more personable way to do things. If you're camera shy and you don't want to have your camera on, you don't need to do that. Then I won't bring you up on screen. But we love it if you would. If people will watch an old guy like me with glasses and a gray beard, they'd want to see you too. So we'd love to see you on the screen if that's possible. All right, so with that, we're going to dive in and we're going to share my screen. My goal, by the way, is to not forget to share my screen any more than 3 times today. That's the way I try to go through training is sometimes when I bop back and forth, I do. If I forget that, please just mention it to me and I'll fix it right away. And the last thing, just for housekeeping that I can remember, is if you would please go ahead and leave yourself muted unless I call you up on screen. Phone calls happen, kids happen, dogs barking, all that. I even had dog barking on my last call. Um, just if you're muted, we don't have to all listen to that. So that would be appreciated and we can go from there. All right, let's go ahead and share my screen here and dive in. I've got to move a couple windows around. Bear with me. I'm on a slightly different setup here in Michigan, so I've got to find my screen, which somehow the window got buried. Always love it when that happens. We'll find it here. There we go. Move that off here and let's go back to Zoom, share my screen. All right, once we get set up, it works pretty well. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to give you guys a walkthrough of Midjourney on the web. Now, some of you may be familiar with this. This has been out for a couple of months, but if you haven't tried Midjourney recently, I just want to show you the web interface. We used to have to use it through Discord, and that was much, much more painful. Now that we've got a web interface, it's really super simple. Again, as I mentioned, Midjourney is a paid only platform. So you do need to pay, I believe the minimum subscription is about $10 a month. When you log in, you're going to be shown this screen, which is the Explorer. And these are just other images that other people have created. And it's really cool because you can look through and get some ideas and you'll see people are incredibly creative. And you can figure out all kinds of different things from that. One of my favorite things is, let's say you love this little animation, whatever, of a house. When you click on that in the Explore section, it shows you the prompt used over on the right-hand side. So one of the things that I know people are always asking is, Jonathan, what prompt did we use for that? Or how do we get that? You can literally go through the Explore tab and find any image you want. Maybe we like this yellow dinosaur. And when you click on it, it'll show you this here. And the neat thing is I can now create versions of that. If I just click use text here, it's going to automatically fill that text in right here. And I can make changes to it if I want. I can do whatever I want to do in here and come up with whatever I want. So I have no idea what this is. So let's change this from a dinosaur to an elephant. And I'll show you how this works. So we'll literally just change dinosaur to elephant. We'll leave everything else the same. I can do a lot of different options, which I'll show you here in a minute, but we're just going to go ahead and recreate. Now, the neat thing about that, when we're creating, by the way, when you create, you'll need to go to the Create tab. Midjourney creates 4 images at a time for you. It's one of the things I love about Midjourney. It doesn't just give you one, it gives you 4. But it's also a great example, as we're going to see here, to remember that the same prompt can deliver entirely different images from that. And that's just the nature of the way that we're putting things through here. So you can see here, we're using this. We've got 4 different images that have come up. You can see up here, it's telling us how complete it is. And we've now got all the various aspects. And I'll explain to you what these mean here in just a second. We'll let this complete, 100% complete. There we go. And now I can click into any one of these images if I want, and I can see an updated version. I got to admit, that's kind of cool. I like that. These are fun, and it's going to be that easy to find images. Now, you may not like these, you may not like other styles, but you can find that through Explorer, and then you can create what you want. You can move on from there. You can do all kinds of things with that. So if you're brand new to Midjourney and you want to have some fun, just start in the Explore section. Again, maybe it's this product photography. I can go ahead and pull this up. And again, I've got the prompt right here, and I can then utilize that to learn what I'm doing. But once I've created, you're going to want to be on the Create tab. And the Create tab is going to give you all the images that you've created. Many of you have heard me say over time, I literally create thousands of images a month. So sometimes I have a hard time figuring out which prompt I put in. You can see by scrolling through here, I create a lot of different images to find the ones that fit for what I'm looking for. But today what we want to talk about is consistent images and how do we create a consistent image that we like. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to actually grab this image right here of the elephant. And we're going to say, I like this, but I want to create this character in different areas. How am I going to do that? So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to save this image. I need to save it because now I'm going to recreate it in some different ways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here in the tab. I'm going to use the text again just to make it easy. I'm now going to click on this image icon, and it's right on the left-hand side. And when I click on this, you're going to see I get a new pop-up, and I have 3 different areas, and these are the keys. By the way, I have a guide for you that I'll be sharing with you about each one of these. We have 3 different areas that we can upload images: image prompts, style reference, and omni reference. And what this means, if I upload it to the image prompts area, it's going to identify the image, it's going to look at the image, and it's going to use AI to actually identify the elements in the prompt. We'll give you an example here in just a moment. For style reference here in the middle, it's going to then look at the style of the image. So if we look back at that elephant, it was kind of a Hanna-Barbera type style. And omni reference, it's going to use a likeness of the object itself. That's the one I want for right here because I want to create multiple variations of that same elephant. So the first thing I need to do, you can see I've got some images that I've uploaded in the past. We're going to upload the new elephant. So here's our elephant. You'll see there it is. I've just added it. Now I'm going to go to omni reference because I want to create a new version of this element or the elephant, and we're going to add it. And you can see it added it right in here. I've even got little sliders and things like that that I can do. How strong do I want it to be? By default, it's 100. I encourage you to leave it there. And it's going to, if it works right, and by the way, this is live. You just saw me create this image. I haven't tested it. It's going to create a version of that using that as a reference. The difference here is now we're going to go up and we're going to change a couple things in the scene to make it different. So instead of standing in a Jurassic jungle, let's have it standing in let's say in New York, Times Square. Everything else will leave the same, but we're going to change the environment. And if we get what we should, we're going to get a character that looks very much like the one that we have in this picture, but standing now in New York, Times Square. So here's your reference image. If you want to compare it as it starts creating, you can see over here, it's told us what's happening. And now it's going to start creating these images for us. And fingers crossed, we should get this elephant or something very similar to him in New York, Times Square. All right, so let's go. I see Alan, you see, if you only see that I'm talking, go to your Zoom window if you would. And in the Zoom window, by the way, if you can hear the dog in the background, I do apologize. He got deliveries coming and he wants me to know that. But Alan, back to your question. If you only see my image at the top of the Zoom window, you should see 2 tabs. You want to click on the one that has my screen so that you can see my screen. All right. And guys, I want to tell you, this is why I'm so excited. If I look at our original image here and I look at the 4 that are created, these may not be exact, but these are the most similar style images that I've ever been able to create with AI. And notice now this one's almost exact in New York Times Square. This one's still very similar, slightly different pose, but very similar. And this one's probably the least only because notice he's at least shorter and fatter there than he is here, but still very, very similar. So what do we learn from this? Well, the first thing we learn is it's easy to create consistent images. The other thing we learn is that they're not all going to be perfect. And be aware of that and just accept that not every image is going to be perfect. All right, so let's do this again and let's try it one more time. I'm going to use the same text just to make it easy on myself. I'm going to click on the image button over here. We're going to go back to Omni Reference and I'm going to upload the same thing here. But now instead of New York Times Square and a colorful cartoon caricature, let's try something different. So let's, instead of a groovy 70s vibe, let's try a modern 2020 vibe. We'll leave everything else the same, but we should get now the same look of the elephant, but in a slightly more updated, not retro cartoon. We'll get rid of retro here, style. Let's go ahead and see what happens. And this is how you're going to learn to create great prompts, by the way, just by doing what I'm doing here. Notice we're going in and we're changing only 1 or 2 items at a time. That's really important because if we change 4 items, guess what? It'll be really hard for us to tell what we changed and what impact it had. So when you're playing, and I encourage you to do that, change 1 or two items at a time. In this case, I changed two, but they're both related to that retro cartoon style, and I wanted a more modern cartoon style. And we're going to see what we get as it comes up here. Looks like we're doing pretty good on the character consistency. That's what we wanted. Now, again, keep in mind, they're not all going to be perfect, but they're going to be close. And let's see where we've got. So, Elena, we're doing this all in the web app. So I saw that in chat. By the way, guys, I'll try to pay attention to chat, but I don't always do a great job of it. But these are being done in the web version. So again, this was a more modern version of the cartoon. I'm not sure it's necessarily more modern, but we at least are keeping our consistent character. And that is one of the things that I really like about it. So now let's go back and let's do something a little different. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take this original prompt that we used here, and I'm going to show you how the other items work. So we're going to copy the text up just like we did last time. And this time, instead of under omni reference, where it uses the likeness of the object, we want to create the style of the image. So we're still going to load this, but we're going to load this up. And now it's going to look at the style of the image. And in this case, instead of a colorful elephant, let's go ahead and say zebra. And let's see if there's anything else we want to do. And I'm going to get rid of the entire where it's standing. So now we're going to do a zebra on an unknown background. What we should see here is the style of the image should be in fact, I'm going to leave that back in there just to be safe. We should see the same style of this image. It's down here, but a zebra instead. So let's go ahead and find out. So again, as reference, this is our original reference image that we've uploaded. We've asked it to essentially use now the style. So that means the graphical style that you're seeing here, kind of that Hanna-Barbera retro cartoon style, groovy 60s is what we should see. And let's happen and see what we get. We're coming along the way. And the reason we want to use style here is, again, maybe we're trying to create a series of characters that would go together. And we don't want them all to look like the same elephant, but we want the same style. And if Midjourney assumed this was my elephant and my style, oops, that was the wrong picture. Here it is. There's my elephant and style. Let's take a look and see what it did for zebra and style. Not bad. Now, I did notice as we went through here, we ended up with one that ended up with 5 legs. It's still not perfect. Again, you're going to occasionally throw one of these away. It is going to happen. But for the most part, I think at least, and I'd love your comments. Tell me in the comments, what do you think? Are these more consistent characters than what you've been able to do easily in the past? So give me a 1. Let me know. If not, then don't worry. But I want to know. I think these are more consistent. Thank you guys for the feedback. I've always been convinced that everybody that said, oh, we can create consistent characters, that their definition of consistent characters and mine were really incredibly different. It just didn't work out that way. So a couple more things I want to show you. We wanted to use an image next to do this, so we can show you how it would work as an image and then versus a cartoon and give you some perspective there. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to ChatGPT here real quick. And I'm going to see if I can find one of my good prompts. Let's see here. Bear with me here. I've got to go grab a link from another sheet here a minute. Should have had this one ready, but I didn't. There we go. Sometimes I'm ready and other times not. Okay. So we're going to go over here. By the way, I will share this with you guys if you don't have this. This is called Maxime. Maxime is my Midjourney prompt creator tool. So here we go. Maxime. By the way, she's called Maxime because I had originally called it a Midjourney thing, and ChatGPT had a fit over copyrights. But Maxime is trained for you to put in an idea or a concept. By the way, I just put that all over in the chat so you guys have access to it. And you're welcome to use this. It will take any concept you have and create a prompt for Midjourney. Now, I want to show this to you because it's going to add in a few aspects that you may not be familiar with, and I want to explain those. So let's do a photo. So we're going to do a photo. Whoops, get typed in here. Lost my mouse. There we go. Photo of a 50-year Well, I'm 55, but that's all right. 50-year-old man, heavy set. That's me. Glasses, long white beard, standing in a hayfield. Why? Because I just moved back up to Fremont, Michigan. There's lots of country around here. So just like that, I'm going to give it my concept, not my whole prompt, just what do I want? And let's go and see what we get. So Maxime, this is a prompt, and again, you guys are welcome to use this. GPT has been trained to create 5 different prompts for us. Why 5? Because everyone's going to look a little bit different. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this bold part here, and we're going to try that, and we're going to create each one of these. It then has given us some other things down here that we could add if we wanted to, but I will tell you that this is all designed for using it in Discord. If you're using the website, we're just going to grab this. That's all we need to do. So let's go back over to create. I'm going to paste my prompt up here. And I'm going to show you a few other settings that we haven't taken a look at. So if I scroll over to the right-hand side, I've got a settings button I can click on. When I click on settings, this is where I can very easily control a few key things. One, image size. This is a scroll. Notice I can try it different out. So I can create everything from a 1:2 vertical image over to a 2:1 horizontal image. And I can scroll through here to find whatever size it is that I want. By default, I like a 3:4 image. That's just a personal preference. So that's where I set mine by default. We then get to choose the model. There's a standard model, and the standard model versus the raw model basically means, do you want Midjourney to interpret your prompt at all? In other words, I do. I want AI to look at my prompt and try to determine how to create the best possible image based on my prompt. If I wanted it to follow my prompt letter for letter, I could move to raw mode and then it would follow my prompt letter for letter. It's fun to play around with these. By default, I leave it on standard as it works really well. Then I can create it either a standard or a draft version. Draft versions are brand new in version 7 of Midjourney, and it basically creates a lower resolution version and it does it faster so you can upscale down the road. The downside to drafts is that when you upscale it, it doesn't necessarily make it exact. It's very, very close. So I like to stick with standard because then if I like the image, I've got it. That's just my personal preference. And then model. Inside of the web version, we've got lots of different models we can choose from Midjourney. Version 7 is the most current and definitely the one that I recommend you stick with. Then we've got some stylization things. By default, I have mine set to 300. That's just going to add additional stylization. It talks about how strongly the aesthetic is applied. I like a little bit more stylized photo. So by default, it's at 100 or 0, I think. I think it's at 100 by default. Yeah, that is. So if I hit my reset, it's at 100. I like mine at 300. So I'm literally just going to move that up. Then there's weirdness. It's kind of an odd one, but it's quirky qualities into your generated image. So if you want a little bit of weird in your image, you can move this up. By default, it's really low at 0, but I can move that up and I'm going to get some more strange things. And then variety. Variety influences how varied the images are between the 4 images that you get. So by default, it's going to try to keep them relatively close, more reliable, that are repeatable. If I wanted it greater, it would be less like each other. Because we're focused today on consistent images, we're going to keep it where it is. And then for speed, you can use relaxed mode, fast mode, or turbo. Depending on your subscription will depend on what you have access to. So I am actually on the $30 a month subscription because I do create thousands of images a month. And I can tell you, I have never, even creating thousands of images, ran out of fast generation. That's what I just use by default. So I can turn off that real quick and let's go ahead and let's create this one. And we're going to quickly go over and we're going to create the other 4 as well. We're going to just, why? Because we can, and I want to determine which ones that I like the best. By the way, the defaults that I have set up that I just went over with you will apply until I change them. So I don't need to go into the settings every time. I can literally just copy and paste these over. I love it. In this case, AI thought that 50 was elderly. If you're 20, you probably agree. But if you're like me and you're 56, 50 is not elderly, not yet. All right, so we're going to do the last one. Here we go. Now, these are 5 different prompts, so the images may be incredibly different. And let's take a look. And we can already see they are coming up a bit different as we do this. Now, I didn't give it much direction, so it's taken some creative liberties here, but I'm going to show you how we're going to use this in a minute to create consistent images. And also, if you want, if you've ever thought about doing self-styled images like we've talked about with Flux Laura, where you literally go in and you make it look like yourself, I'm going to show you how we can make these look more like me because I happen to have the white beard and glasses. So let's take a look. So we've got some images. Let's just quickly go through them and see what we've got here. So different styles, you may or may not like them, but we'll just take a look at what it picked. Again, different images. You can see it thinks 50 is really old. Midjourney does. I don't think 50 looks that old, but maybe I'm wrong. Now here it went in a totally different direction. Notice it didn't do photorealistic at all, but kind of cool. I kind of like it. And then a few more. So as I look through those, the one that I think is probably most fun is this one right here. You may or may not like that one. That's okay. But I'm going to go ahead and I want to download this image. And the reason I need to download it is I'm going to use this as a reference image in a minute here. So let's say we've created that character and we want to have that same look, that same kind of feel, and maybe that guy now, we'll stick with the guy we've got. That's all right. Now, let's say we want to recreate this style of image, but we want it to look more like me. What are we going to do? I'm going to say use text. I'm now going to go up and click on the image here, and I'm going to go to Omni Reference. Why? Because we want it to reference a person's likeness here. So I don't want it to look like the guy in the photo. I want it to look more like me. So I click in Omni Reference, and I've got 3, 4 photos of me. I'm just going to grab this one here, and let's see what happens. It's going to create some new images, and these images should have the same style as these, but should look more like me. Let's find out. This is not as good as using a Flux Laura, by the way, but it is a way that you really start getting into this and can have a lot of fun. So let's give it just a second and see how much like me these look as we're waiting for it to complete. And then we'll go do a few other things as well once we get that up and running. So I can see already as this is coming in, it's only 60% complete, but we are definitely getting images in that style that look more like me. Definitely looks like the second one over here looks a lot like I look in the morning. So let's just take a look at this. Now that's not exactly me, but I hope you can see if you look at me on the screen and you look at that, it definitely resembles me more closely than certainly any of the first images did, which are in this row right here. And we did that simply by uploading my image as Omni reference and had it based on that. So it's that easy to create consistent characters, to create other things like that that you want. We could do any others. I'm going to have you guys give me a couple ideas here in a minute, and we're going to create those as well. Before we do that, though, I just want to show you a couple more things in Midjourney that I think are so incredibly cool. So we've already shown you in Explorer, you can get the prompt, but when they're your images, I can also see settings. So these settings really quick, AR stands for aspect ratio. That's 3:4 that I'd set. V stands for the version, which is version 7. I had it stylized to 300. Notice when I hover, it actually gives you a description of what those are. And so that's great. And then I'm using my version 7 profile. By the way, we didn't talk a lot about profiles. Before you start using version 7, when you log in for the first time, it's going to ask you to personalize your version. And it's going to show you about 200 images, and you have to pick the ones that you like. Don't stress about it. Pick the ones that appeal to you the most, but don't stress about it. Ultimately, it's going to do what you want. It's just part of version 7, and that's this profile that it's using. I could, if I wanted to, I could actually create multiple profiles for myself, and I could use different ones for different images, but we're not going to worry about it. Then I can rate my image if I want. This is just to help Midjourney if you want to give them help. I rarely rate images, but if you want to, you can rate them. And then, oops, we get some more fun down here under creative actions. So maybe I love this picture, but I want to make some differences. One, I can upscale it, which creates a larger version, especially if I wanted to print the image. But I want to share with you that if you upscale, it is going to change the image slightly. So it's not going to be exactly what it is. I could also vary it. I could remix it. In other words, build upon this image by creating similar ones with newer updated prompts. So like larger differences. So if I remix strong here, I can go ahead and I can click. Notice it automatically grabbed the image into the prompt side. It still kept me for omni reference, but now I can make changes in this. So instead of wearing rustic overalls, let's say wearing a tuxedo, and we don't want a flannel shirt, so we'll just say a tuxedo. So that's the only thing we're going to change. Again, remember, don't change too much or it's really hard. And now we're going to remix this prompt. This is something that we've really never been able to do before, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. I can also pan, and I love this feature. Let's say I like this, but I really wish I was maybe off to, instead of the center, I was off to one side. I can click on the left or right. We'll click on right, which will expand the photo to the right. Oops, it says it's not supported, probably because it's doing the other job right now. So we'll come back to that. I can also zoom out. So let's say I like this, but I want to zoom out a bit. I can go ahead and click on zoom. Yep. I have to wait till this other job is done, I think. Let's wait here for a moment. This job isn't done and it doesn't want to do both. So we're going to wait just a moment here. Notice when I asked it to remix, again, you can see it changed the style. There's some similarities, but it's a remix of those images. And let's go ahead now and we'll go back into the pan version. Now that we got, click on that. I don't know why. Oh, because I have omni reference in. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and turn this one. I'm zooming in here. Bear with me as I click. I guess I can't do that because of omni reference. That's a bit of a bummer. That's all right. Let's go grab another image and I'll show you how that works. So we'll just grab one that was created. Here's one of the images that was originally created. And if I, whoops, if I wanted to take this original image, not by scrolling, be careful. Hang on, where did it go? There it is. One more. There it is. I can scroll this one to the right. So when I click on this, that's definitely given me grief. I guess I used omni reference on that. I use that a lot. Let's scroll down to one that doesn't have anything in it. Okay, I'll grab one of these wizard pictures. Here we go. And I'm going to scroll to the right. It's going to now expand that image so that when it comes up, this same character will exist, but there's going to be new stuff. I'm using my hands, not that it means anything to you guys, but it's going to create to the right of this image. I also could zoom out. And so let's go ahead and do that. I'll just click a 2x zoom out a minute. And now we'll see here, it's going to create new images at the top. And you can see how that original image that we had, it's now creating context to the right or of the image. As we look, it's filling that image in. And these here where we zoomed out 2x, there's the original image and you can see it's zooming out and actually filling in areas around us. And it creates 4 different versions because you may decide that you like one version better than the other. They're similar. My character here is virtually identical. If I look through these, you'll see the character looks identical. But notice the stuff on the right, how it's changing as I move between pictures. And the same thing on the zoom out. When we click and zoom out, let's go ahead and click and zoom out. So my character here is identical, but the background, what it expanded, changed a bit based upon what I typed in. And so those are some really cool features that are available within Midjourney that really help do that. Again, I mentioned I'm going to give you guys a guide. I've got it in Google Docs here. I'm going to get it to you that walks you through how to do these things. If you've got questions in that, we're going to go ahead and spend more time going over this and covering things. But the key thing I wanted to cover with you, and again, I'm going to quickly recap, was how to create those consistent images. And so we're going to go down and grab, in this case, the character, but this time I'm going to grab a different character. Let's grab our zebra. There we go. And we'll grab the one, I like this guy here. We'll download this image just as a reminder on how to do this. Let's say we're creating a book and we want to create more images of him. We're simply going to go ahead and reuse the text. We're going to go and upload it as omni reference because we want the same character. So my omni reference is going to be Mr. Zebra. And then we're going to talk about the zebra. That's important. That's the character. But now we can change where. So instead of standing in a Jurassic Park, let's have it doing this. Let's have it standing in a New York. I got this. Since I'm up in Michigan and I just left Alabama, standing on a pier in Pensacola, Florida. So we're going to get our same artistic style. We're going to get the same zebra, but we're totally changing the setting of where we're at. And it'll take just a moment, and then we will go to Q&A so that you guys will have an opportunity to answer your questions. Again, I don't pay a lot of attention to the chat while this is going on. I will try to look at it, but we may miss some things. So let's see. Are we going to get the same looking zebra, keeping that consistent character in a pier? And hopefully we will. It's probably going to mess up the Pensacola, Florida part, but that's all right. It looks like it's at least getting the dock part right in most of these. Let's take a look. I like this one on the left. In just a moment, it'll be done. I personally love how, by the way, Midjourney creates 4 images. That's just me, but I think that's really cool. So now I have my zebra standing on a dock. So hopefully you guys can see how this will help. I know I'm using cartoon characters. You can use this for images or any other type of image that you've got, and it really will work incredibly well. And again, if you're looking, I know so many of you have asked about, hey, I'm writing a kid's book, or I'm creating a book, or I'm creating a marketing campaign, and I need consistent characters. How can I do that? That's the way to do it and should help out a lot. So we're going to go to Q&A. We'll be happy. I'm going to leave my screen up so we can answer more questions if they come up as well. Danny, you were first. You've been incredibly patient. What's on your mind, Danny?
Hey there, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. What's up? What can I help you with?
Great. I started playing with the new version, I guess 7 yesterday, in
Mhm.
preparation for this, and I noticed that there seemed to be a lot more, I guess I don't know what they call it, restrictions. Um, I forgot, like because I play around
Like
with my son
filters
all the
and
time. He's 11, so I try to make cartoons and kind of in the past, if I like put an image of him, everybody was like, no, 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 no. So I kind of learned how to get around that. But now I just put cartoons of, 11-year-old boy playing video games, and it's like, no, no, you can't do that, and I can't figure out
hmm.
the whys.
Well, that's interesting. I can't say I've run into that before. Let's try one here a minute. Let's go back and share my screen here a minute and see what's up. There are filters on all the AIs, but generally
Yeah,
they're not too bad. I'm going to go back over to Maxime here a minute because this is trained for Midjourney, and we're just going to give it another. Let's give it an example. 3D cartoon animation of a 3-year-old playing in the sandbox. So let's see if it will give us some. I know this will give us the prompts, but let's see if Midjourney will create those here a minute. Um, give me a variation for all of these. I don't want to take the time to answer the question, so we'll let AI just make it up. So here we go. Let's take this one and let's see if we get in trouble with Midjourney or not. So let's paste that in and try it out.
that
And
started.
let's see. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be okay. Now, I have had it start once or twice and then stop as we go through. So one of the things I might recommend is maybe use Maxime to start creating that for you and then make changes based upon that and see where we're at. Now, again, if I had the image of a child or something, I could probably upload that and bring that in as far as look and feel. In fact, let's try that real quick a minute. So image of 3-year-old. Okay. I don't know who this is. This is not anybody I know. It's just a stock image. So let's save that image really quick. By the way, this is a Shutterstock image. I have not bought it, so we're not going to use this for anything other than demonstration purposes. But now I can go ahead and I can reuse this text. Let's go ahead and upload, and I'm going to upload that image that I just took here. And we're going to make that our Omni reference. And in theory, by making that our Omni reference, we should end up with let's look at this here a minute. So a young boy or girl, brunette, curly hair, we should end up with that over here. as we create. Let's give it a shot. It should be taking this. Now, I guess we've kind of got that already, but let's just take a look and see if it makes it any more like that person. Looks like it's going to create it again. So I'm not sure what you're running to, but one of the words you're using or phrases is likely kicking into the filter. And you'll just need to play around with it a little bit to figure out how best to get around that filter. And it does
Okay.
look like it's going to definitely match the hairstyle better. I guess it's not going to be perfect, but I picked somebody that looked an awful lot like the first one, but we're getting some resemblance here. And again, no issues that I'm seeing here overall. So my guess is it's just something in your prompt. And unfortunately, you'll have to just play around with that, Danny, until you can figure your way out.
All right,
So,
sounds good.
by the way, if you guys have multiple questions, you're welcome to ask multiple. I'm going to ask you to ask one at a time, just in case we have a lineup. That way, everybody gets a chance to ask questions. You're welcome to pop right back in the line with your next question. That's not a problem, but I want to be fair to everybody. Jaquine, you're up next. Good to hear you again. What's going on?
You will see an image that I just put in the chat that is from that you created. And
Yes.
I would love to know, how do you create that? Because I want to do on my platform, I want to have an image similar to this where you can put like the word Saturday only or whatever, whatever. And like you have one that's a reporter, and then you have like a box, and then you can put the words in there. So how do you create something like that?
That's a great question. So I'm going to share that with everybody just so you can see what Jaquine updated. So let me share my screen here a minute. Share and go back. So this is the image that Jaquine just shared. This is an image that I use in my group every Saturday. And we created this by using two things, Midjourney and Canva. So
Oh,
I am not a proponent of trying to get AI to put text on images. It just doesn't work consistently. Candidly, it irritates me to no end. Not that you do it, but it takes so long and I got to try multiple times and I get frustrated. So I don't do that. I recommend creating the images in Midjourney. This background image I created, and then all this text, I went into Canva, if you guys have ever used Canva, and that's where I went ahead and added all the text in. And that's what I do on most of the images that you see created that I have. The image has been generated in Midjourney, and then we pull it into Canva and add the text and things like that. So
okay.
if we have time today, I'll be happy to show you one of those. We can actually create one. If you guys would like, I'm going to go through the existing Q&A, but Jaquine, if you've got time to stick around, remind me after we go through the existing Q&A, and I'll be happy to, again, do one of these live. Let's bring it up and show
Yes.
everybody how to do it.
Yes, because I'm going to use this on my platform. I just don't know how. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, remind me and we'll come back to that. All right. Next, we've got Mr. Bill Rapp. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
I am well. I am well. What can we do for you today?
So, thank you for the Canva thing. I was going to ask that as well after you were talking about it. So that'd be a good thing to see you pull it in, build on it, do it.
Love to do it.
Just curious, when you're first setting up Midjourney, you said it actually builds by taking you through like 200 images and kind of get your preferences, which might work for one setting, but if we're working in a different environment and wanting to do things, can we go back and redo that 200
Mm.
image build out?
I don't know if you can redo it, but you can have multiple profiles. So the answer to that is you can create multiple profiles, and it's almost like creating different personas in like ChatGPT. You can have different visual profiles. Now, I'll admit personally, I just tell it what I want, and I'm able to get
Pretty
at
close.
least stuff that I find. So I don't know how strong it fits in.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, I just was too lazy to want to spend the time to go through another 200 images and create another profile. But I do know it supports that. So it absolutely does support that ability. So if you've got, I know in your case, Bill, you're working with different marketing clients, you may want to say, okay, I need to create one for ABC Manufacturing and I need to create another one for XYZ sales company because they're unique styles. And you could literally do that and then have that saved as a profile right on your Midjourney account.
Sweet.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you.
Shannon, you are next. What's on your mind, Shannon?
I've been living in Midjourney 7 since you brought it up in the mastermind class, so I blame you for my obsession.
You're
But
welcome.
because I've been, I know, but because I've literally been spending hours a day in there and a lot of credits, I just wanted to add a couple things
Please.
that I noticed. Okay, so in draft mode, they added something called enhance, and it
Hmm.
will duplicate the exact same photo. So if you want to not use
Okay.
a ton of and it's exact, and I have tested it, and you can do it. So it's going to show up in the bottom on the right in all those cool places,
I
and it's also going to show up on the image. So go
Well,
ahead and run a
let's show
draft, and I'll
people.
show you
Yeah,
where it is.
let's show people how we create a draft. So I like the zebra. So I'm just going to use the zebra.
He's so
If I
fun. He looks like he
if I
should be on
go,
a pack of gum, doesn't he?
he does. So if you go over here, you can choose draft mode. Notice it says create much faster images. So we're going to just turn that draft mode on. And in theory, it should take less time to create this. You guys saw how long it took to do the others. Now, Shannon, I'd be curious in your perspective. I've tried draft a few times and haven't found it to be like noticeably faster. What have you noticed?
No, I haven't noticed that it's a lot faster, but it uses a lot less credits. And when we're trying to make a bazillion of pictures, as you know, you and I like
That's a
to
good
make,
point.
then I feel like it makes a big difference. And then also when I've been playing around with Omni, it's, oh, look, that guy is from the gum. They heard me. But yeah, do you see the enhance? So here's the thing, when you pick
Yep.
the photo and you hit enhance, it gives you, I mean, it is AI, but when I've tried it, it will give you four of the exact same images but enhanced to the higher quality so you can download them. That way you can play around with your personalization in Omni and whatnot before you commit the credits to the image.
That's really good. You're absolutely. I do want to point. There are some subtle differences here, but
Right.
so here's our original, which is not exactly what we created the first time, but that's all right. That happens. Then we've got this. You can see subtle differences just looking between those two.
Mm-hmm.
So original, and then like the lighthouse is a little different. So you're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. And they've gotten much, much better at this. Again,
Yeah.
I just know some of you, when I've talked to you, are like, it's not exact. Keep in mind, AI
Right.
is not
It's getting
exact.
much closer though. It's getting much
And
closer.
here's the good news. If you publish these out, nobody's going to go, oh, that's different. These all do look to be clones of each other, essentially. So yeah, very good shared. Thank you, Shannon. That's a great tip. And I
You're
had
very
not done
welcome.
that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Anything else
Yeah,
I can
I've
do for
noticed
you?
that, well, I was just going to say that for me, like I wasn't married to like those four zebras, the
Hmm.
way the exact lighthouse or whatever. It's not that I would have published that one somewhere else first. So to me, it was worth like when I was working on some of the images I've done to
Sure.
try and get the draft close enough and then enhance. But if you were trying to use the same one, you of course you do it like more enhanced and
Well,
then you would just use the
and I want
exact
to say
same.
the one thing that make the big difference that you talked about, especially if you're on the lower tier plan, like the $10 a month plan, you will
Right.
burn through those credits faster. If you use the draft mode, I think it uses like 1/4 or whatever of the credits, if I'm not mistaken. So if a
Right.
normal one would take four, this would take one. So you're going to go
Right.
through that, and then when you can upscale, you're only paying the 4 credits for the one you decide to upscale. So I don't pay
Yeah.
a lot of attention to my credits because I'm on the $30 a month plan, and knock on wood, I've never actually ran out of them, but I'm sure you can.
I blew through my $30 credits this month with the extra images that I've been making. So yeah,
It's
that's when I
possible then.
started using
See?
it.
Yeah, there
It
you
is,
go.
it could happen if you're an
Well,
addict.
I think really good advice. And, AI models are continuing to juggle those credits and stuff. So using draft mode is a way to essentially get 4 times the output. So a great way to get started.
Yeah.
And some of those draft images candidly don't look bad. I mean, you go over, I could
No.
use a lot of those especially if it's online stuff. I wouldn't even need to
Yeah.
upscale it. I could use that. So,
Yeah, I've seen
uh,
that also.
awesome. Great there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome.
You're
Guys, I want to
welcome.
remind
Thank
all
you.
of you, and a huge shout out to Shannon. One of the things I love about this community is it's not just the stuff that Jonathan learns and shares, it's the stuff you guys share. So that is so incredibly valuable. Zakia, you're up next.
Thank you. Hi, Jonathan. Uh,
Hello.
Question. Well, one, if people use ideogram, you could definitely do text on ideogram images and they
You
come out
can.
good. So if they
Yep.
want to do the two-step process, you can do that. Secondly, for Maxine, would you use them? Would you recommend using them for things like forget what it is in Adobe, Firefly or Fire something,
Firefly. Yeah,
Firefire
you
info,
absolutely, yeah.
ideogram? I think
So
that's Midjourney.
you can use them for anything. They're just trained on Midjourney exactly. So, but you can use those prompts anywhere and they'll work very, very well. So, if you don't know, I have a number of those that I have out. Let me find my link here real quick. I'll share it with you guys. You guys can all get these for free. I just got to find it real quick. So there's three major ones that I give out. I'm going to put it in the chat. Free image prompt tools. Just a reminder, these create image prompts, not the images themselves. But with the prompts, you could use GPT-4, you could use Ideogram, you could use DaVinci, you could use Flux, you could use Firefly, anything you want. The large part of it will work the same way. So very good question on that. And you can go that. So what is the Google Doc you want to share as well for us? Sandra reminded me. Yes. Let me go grab that real quick here a minute. I've got that for you. Here it is. Share. Anyone with a link, copy link. So this is a overview, and you guys know me, I used AI to write this. So if you guys are interested in Manus, this is not about Manus, but I used Manus with some information that I provided it to actually create this guide, and it did so in, I don't know, about 10 minutes. So it was really good. So creating consistent characters. I have not proofed everything in here, guys. So if anything's embarrassing, my apologies in advance. But there you go. That is the document that you guys can do. It literally will walk you through everything we talked about today with kind of a step-by-step along the way as well. So you can do that. And again, I did a quick proof on it. It looks great. I've not done a deep dive. So if you find anything in there that's wrong, my apologies in advance. All right. Thanks for that reminder. We're back. Dallas, you are up. What's on your mind? Give you just a moment, Dallas. If you're not there, we'll move on to Christina and then come back.
Yeah, it's
Oh, there we
always just
go.
a little bit delayed. Sorry, guys. Hope you have
That's
a good
okay.
week. Thank you. Hey, so in my video, I need to start as well. Okay. And so hopefully you guys can see me. I just had a question regarding uh, more or less. I know you like the 2D cartoon drawings. Actually, do 3D. With what I'm looking to do, I have storyboarding needs. So taking them and making different iterations, whether they are, fully color or sketch. Is there a tool to do that? And then also, do you know if there's also any tools that do the full-on animation? But I know there's a lot to do animation, but specifically taking storyboards or symbols, logos, that kind of thing, and animating them for like explainer videos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there are a number of tools that you can use to do that, and I would recommend like starting with the Midjourney images and doing that. Some that you may want to look at, I don't know if they'll all be good, and I don't want to get into it too much, Dallas, since that's not, animation's
Sure.
not the point of this one. But
Sure.
you can definitely look at the new Flow from Google. That's actually a
Okay.
producer where you can upload and it'll work that and use VO3 in the background. And then another one that does a great job is Hedra. And then a third would be
Okay.
Runway. Those would be ones I would definitely take a look at. And I'm pretty sure, based on just talking to Austin at Syllabi, a lot of you guys know I love Syllabi for AI video. I believe they are
Mhm.
adding that in the next 2 weeks because he just gave me a roadmap last night and it was really, really exciting. So those should be
Okay.
available soon. So
All right,
awesome.
great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dallas.
I
I appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Have a great
Thanks
day and
again.
hopefully you stick around for
You
some
too.
more. All right,
Absolutely.
Christina, you are next. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan, when we are using prompts and we're including things like create a Pixar-like or Hanna-Barbera, are we violating any copyrights or trademarks when we sell the images that we create, or is that okay to just reference that style in the prompt?
Great question. Let me begin by I'm not an attorney, so you're not getting legal advice here. So disclaimer out of the way. Every artist that you know has been inspired by others, period,
Okay.
end of story. And therefore, from my perspective and what I understand the law says, knowing that I'm not an attorney, just by referencing that style doesn't make it a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So when we had that zebra and that elephant, while we could look at that and maybe go, yeah, that does kind of remind us of Hanna-Barbera, it wasn't a Hanna-Barbera property, and any artist could have created that, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I don't believe there's a problem with that, but it's definitely a personal question to ask. And certainly the exception would be is let's say I was using that and I was creating a famous Hanna-Barbera character and it was difficult to tell the difference between the Hanna-Barbera character and mine, then yes, I would say that would be infringing on copyrights that we shouldn't do. Disney's a great example. I could create lots of different black and white line drawings, but if I created one that looked like a mouse that had the same features as Mickey Mouse, even if it wasn't Mickey Mouse, that would probably be infringing on their copyrights, if that makes sense.
It does. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Jonathan.
No, great question. And I think it's good to bring those up and be concerned with. Valerie, you're next. What's on your mind?
Yes, Jonathan, can you show me how to save to my computer? When
Sure,
you,
be happy to do that. Yeah,
because
great question
doing it,
too.
but
I didn't do that. So let me
mine
get
goes
through.
straight to my computer instead of going in the file.
So what will happen when we're in, here we go. So let's say I want to take this image here. All I have to do, I can either right click and save image, or I can go up here and I can click the down arrow and it will save to where you're typically to either your downloads folder or or something like that, depending on where your default save is on your computer. So they don't let you specify where it's going to go. That's just, I don't know why, it's just the way it works. But any one of those images, again, I can take, I can either right click and save, or I can click the download icon here and it will just download it directly to my computer.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. I had not covered that. So thank you for reminding me that I didn't cover that. All right, let's see. Next we have Dr. Michael. What's going on, sir?
Hey, Jonathan, thanks a lot. I appreciate you allowing me to come on here and ask some.
Absolutely.
But first, I want to say congratulations on your 400K plus.
Thank you.
Following.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And thanks to you guys. I mean, you guys are the ones that have made it a great community.
Yeah. My question, well, not really a question, but I noticed you're using your global profile when you're creating these images. So for us, we're not going to get the same images because you're using your global profile.
They'll be very, very similar though. I mean, I'll let Shannon jump on and talk because I know she uses it a lot. Shannon, if you don't mind, I'm going to call on you in about 10 seconds. That's my warning. So I hope you don't mind. I'll let Shannon give her perspective. The images that you create, if you use the same prompt, are going to be very similar to the ones I've created, at least in my experience. Shannon, again, you've done a lot of these images. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, a lot of times they are really similar, especially if you keep the style the same. Like with the
Yep.
ones I've been putting in the AI group, I am using like a graphic novel type
Yep.
style. And anytime I use that, I get it. But if I forget to put that in, or I don't add my Omni reference, like if I'm using that character, what I get is completely different. The other thing is the personalization. Someone asked in the chat, and this is actually why I popped back in. You can turn that off. It's just like you saw Jonathan click on draft. And it turns red when it's on. If you click on the P for personalization, it turns off. So if you're working on something for a client, you see how he just turned it off? So now his personal style isn't going to be there. So if he, is working on something for a client, he can just use, or just something where he doesn't want whatever he put in those 200 photos to have anything to do with it, then you just turn it off and you can go straight to, it'll weigh more heavy on your prompt.
Let's try that. Let's go
Or on the Omni.
Do another one here. Again, we'll do this same text that we did we're going to use this elephant, that original elephant that we did. Let's go ahead. I've turned off personalization, but I will upload him for Omni reference so that we've got him there. And instead of a jungle, let's see, last time we did a New York scene. Let's put it in a circus this time. And boom. So now I've turned off that personalization. My guess is we're still going to get images that are very much in line with where we started, but I agree with Shannon. The things like omnireference and the words you use are more important than the profile itself. But let's just take a look. And
Yeah.
sometimes the best things we can do is learn in real time. Shannon, I appreciate you jumping in and sharing your
No
thoughts
problem.
on that.
There's one other thing that you guys might be picking up on. Did you see how the original elephant image has like in the jungle? Oh, and some of the jungle bled through. So that's what I started noticing. I was starting to get ghosts of my background bleeding through. Like sometimes it was just the color, and then sometimes I did a similar image and there was foliage, and then I was in a cityscape and the foliage was there. So I started playing around with it, and one thing that I found, and see how that, yep, it's showing the foliage. So if
It's so,
you
yep.
have a character and you want to put it somewhere, but you don't want any bleed through from the other background, you can take that image and you can put it either in Adobe, or you can put, I like Canva because I have Canva. You can remove the background and then add a white background and save it as a JPEG. If you leave the background clear and save it as a PNG, Midjourney can still pick up what the background is and it can still bleed through. But if you just make it white on the back, save it as a JPEG, and upload that as your Omni reference, now you'll get a cleaner version. And you'll get
That's a
more of
great
what was
idea.
in your prompt.
Let's just show you really quick how we could do that. So I'm going to go into Canva. I'm just going to create a standard square. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload that giraffe or the elephant we had. Let's find him here real quick. Hang on. There we go. So here comes Mr. Elephant. And what Shannon's talking about in Canva, and you can do this in other apps too, but I'll just do it here. I'm going to go ahead and just center that, make it easy. And I can now go click background remover, and you'll watch here a minute and Canva will just remove it. Now in this case, it took out a little bit too much, but it's going to suffice for what we want. And now I can save this as a JPEG or PNG. We'll just save it as a JPEG real quick. And it'll take just a moment and I'll show you how that looks. So elephant. And then if we update our share, as I look to my monitor to update where I'm sharing here, we'll go back into here. Let's go ahead and use the same text, but this time for our Omni reference, we will use that new elephant on the white background that we uploaded. We'll wait for it. It says the image could not be uploaded. I wonder why. That's weird. I've never ran into that before. Maybe a server overload or whatever. We'll come back and try that one more time. If it doesn't work, then we will just know that that's the process it goes through, and it's definitely giving me fits for the moment. So we'll come back to that. But you guys saw it's that easy to remove the background. And Shannon, that's a really good point. Once you do that, then it won't have that extra data. This is still AI. They're not perfect. They do make mistakes sometimes. But Dr. Michael, hopefully that makes some sense. Does that answer your question?
It does. I use my profile to create other things too. But anyway, thanks, Shannon, for some of those tips. That was great. And thank you,
Awesome.
Jonathan.
Thank you. No, we appreciate it. Great stuff again. That's one of the reasons I love the community. Michael Cooney, you are up next. What's on your mind?
Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm Michael Cooney. I'm in the AI for B training school, so I
Awesome.
really
Glad to have you
like
here.
this kind of stuff. Question for you is, are there any platforms with the Midjourney APKs that would be functional versus the paid version?
I am not aware that Midjourney does an API. If they didn't used to, if they've done it, it's relatively new. So I take that back. They do an API because Canva, or I'm not sorry, not Canva. Hang on, let me think of it. What's the name? Rubi.AI, which is one of the aggregators. Ruby does use Midjourney, so they do have an API. I don't know of many though that use it. I don't know if it's cost wise or what, but that would be the only way that I'm aware of to get around it.
Well, I know ChatGPT had it a couple months ago, but things change so quickly. It's no longer there. The only thing on Chat is now just custom GPT prompt generators for specific to Midjourney.
For Midjourney, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
second question, what are you using Manus for as it relates to your image generation?
nothing.
You mentioned Manus earlier.
Yeah, I used it to create the guide. So the guide that I just shared with you guys, I used Manus to create that guide, but I don't actually use it as far as anything with image creation at all.
Okay, and then real quickly for Shannon, does a blue screen or a green screen work better than the white screen background?
I haven't tried that. What I found is a solid color works best, and I used white most successfully to get rid of the background. I originally noticed I had, like I said, the jungle, and one time I had like a ghost of something in the back, and it just kept like peeking through no matter what I did. When I used the white background, it was the same, and I actually saw someone talking about it online, mentioning that if you saved it as a PNG, Midjourney could still read the
Yep.
they could read the code because the background is technically still there, which is why it recommended saving as a JPEG. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
that's
Awesome.
what had worked for me.
All
And
right.
lastly, I
Awesome.
just want to know if you've tried.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you to go to the back of the line. I've asked that for one question at a time. So,
Oh, I'm so sorry. So
no, it's
sorry.
all right. Nope, not a problem. We want the questions. I just want to be fair to everybody else. So, Eric, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Simple question. Zooming out on the image like you were demonstrating earlier.
Yeah.
It seems in version 7, I can't find the zoom out option. So could you show me again how you zoom out?
I sure can. Yeah, absolutely. It's not called zoom out. They've changed the name. So when we grab an image that we want, let's go ahead and grab one here. You're going to come down to here and it's just now called Zoom 2X, which is a little weird because it almost makes it sound like you're going to zoom in twice, but in reality, you're zooming out.
Perfect. That's what threw me off. I saw the 2X and I didn't click on it.
I totally get it. It seems it didn't make sense to me either. So I totally get where you're coming from. All right, Pure Vibe Marketing, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan. Question on how I would kind of repurpose a caricature that I was using with previous marketing.
Mm-hmm.
How would I be able to kind of replicate that in Midjourney? I've tried seeing if I could reverse engineer the prompt or this or that, and it always just kind of turns out crappy. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, your best bet's going to be to, again, upload that as Omni reference. You may want to try it as the other one as well, and then try to describe what you're looking for by using that in the Omni reference. If it's a character in particular, Omni reference is going to do the best for you there. So you could, we could go grab a character that was used 30 years ago, grab that image, upload that as an Omni reference image, and then try to type a prompt that represented what we were looking for, and including that character description, and then it would use the Omni reference image for that character, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I don't know if part of the issue is the style because it's a caricature. So
Gotcha.
for some reason, it just like it won't replicate it. So, but you think, yeah, you
Yeah,
would think that's a
if
fairly easy style to
Omni
replicate.
reference would be the way to do it. The other thing you can
Okay,
do is
Omni reference.
you can use a seed, but you can't use seed when you're doing an external image like that. The other thing you might want to do is combine it with the describe command. So you can upload and you can use the /describe and upload an image, and Midjourney will give you like 4 or 5 prompts that it thinks would replicate that image. You could then use those prompts along with the Omni reference in theory, to be able to recreate that.
Okay, I got it. And
Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, that does make sense. Where did you say to put that part in though?
So Describe used to work. Let's really quick try it. Describe I've never
Okay.
used in the web version. Describe I've always used in Discord, which is different. So let's go ahead and get rid of everything here. And
Okay.
let's see, can I do Describe? Doesn't necessarily say one way or the other, but let's try it here real quick. I'm gonna just upload it as the image itself, and I did Describe, and no, it's not going to do. It's creating something. I don't know what it's going to do here, but it is definitely
Okay.
not creating what I thought. So
Okay.
the old way to do that, have you ever used it on Discord?
I tried in the early days and it intimidated me, so I never I never went back.
The other thing you can do is you can go over to Maxime here, and you can literally upload that to Maxime. So you can go ahead and take that photo. Let's go ahead and upload the photo. Oh, that's not the one I want. That was the one with the white background. Let's grab this one here. There we go. That's the zebra. That's all right. And just say, give me a prompt to recreate this image. And it would help if I could type. Now, Maxime will actually look at that image, and it will give us some prompts that it believes would do this. Notice it even identified it as an illustrated image of a cheerful anthropomorphic, I'm probably saying that, morphic zebra on a seaside boardwalk. So it identified all that from the picture, and then it's giving me 5 prompts that I could use. So what I would then do is take these prompts, upload that with your image, and go give it a go. I think that will get you where you want to go.
Okay. And then on that one, you just said don't use the additional the part that's almost italicized. Don't use that unless you're doing the
Right.
old
And
way with
only if you're
Midjourney, correct?
using it through Discord. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. No,
Awesome.
great.
Jonathan, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Great question. I love these. These are really applicable things. Well, Shannon, you've added so much help. What can I do to help you today?
Well, it's still kind of other people were talking earlier, and so I'm going to ask the actual elephant in the room question, which is, a lot of us are using things maybe for books, and a lot of other people are using things for social media. But I love how your brain works, so I want to find out if you were looking to spend the money and the time in Midjourney, and you weren't using your photos for social media or clients, and you weren't planning to write a book, what would you be using to monetize? Like, how would you be utilizing these images other than just having fun on a Saturday night?
Well, certainly there's just the $30 to have fun for a month. Man, I can do that. Well worth it. No
Me
problem.
too.
But your point's well taken. If I was trying to monetize images and I'm like, I love these images, how can I monetize them? A couple things that I would do. First thing I would do is I would reach out to everybody I know in a self-publishing group. There's tons of them on Facebook,
Mhm.
self-publishing groups, and let them know that if they're looking for imagery for their books and they need consistent characters,
Okay.
you're their woman in your case. In my case, I'm their guy. Reach out, and then I would put together a portfolio of an example of those created images, like that elephant that I just created. Put 4 to 8 photos together in different settings, different characters. Grab some photorealistic ones and do photos with the same person in different areas. Do the same thing with a caricature of a whatever, but just demonstrate
Right.
that. And I bet if you reached out in those Facebook self-published groups and you said, if you give me your basic image of what you're thinking of, I'll create that, and I would put a package together to make it really easy. I would probably say, if you give me the image that you want, I'll use that as reference and create 25 versions of that for you for 250 bucks, or maybe I'll create
Nice.
10 for 250 bucks and I'd create 25 for 500 bucks or something like that. But I would make it a package as opposed to one that has a lot of back and forth, because you'll go
Right.
crazy with the back and forth. It'll kill you. But I would then just make a package, make it affordable, because if they're self-publishing, they probably don't have thousands of dollars to invest. So, but if you
Right.
could say, I'll create you 25 images for your kids' book. There are literally thousands and thousands of people writing kids books that want animation, and they can't
hmm
afford to go hire an animator at $3,000 to $4,000 for that book. If you said, look, for $350 I can create you X number of images with the characters, you can even give them a form. You want your character in this outfit in this setting, this outfit this setting, this outfit this setting. You'll create those images and send them to them. I mean, as we've done here, you could in a couple of hours easily create those images for them once you've got a little experience. And if you charge 250 bucks, you made 125 bucks an hour. That ain't bad.
That's
So
not bad. No,
that's what I do. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great
So,
idea. I love it.
so that's my 2 cents. So if you want another business idea, there's another business idea. Thanks to
If I
Shannon.
need one more thing to do, there you go. Maybe somebody else should do that one.
I was gonna say, you of
Thanks,
all women
Jonathan.
I know don't need anything else to do, I don't think. So, but you
No,
know
I'm
what?
supposed to do one thing.
I bet you're the type of person that gets it done, though. I mean, I bet if you need something done, Shannon's the one to ask, right?
I do. I get plenty of things done, but I don't watch TV unless I'm already doing something else. So that's when I've been playing with Midjourney, is like at night when most people are watching TV, I'm
It's
watching
what I
Midjourney.
create most of mine as well. Yes, I'm a
I know.
dutiful husband. I hand the remote to my wife. She turns on Hallmark
Yep.
Channel, and I ignore it while I'm on my phone or my computer making images. So, yeah.
I love
By the
that.
way,
I know we're
Midjourney
doing it
does
together.
run really good on a phone. So if you ever are in the spot where you're
Oh,
waiting
cool.
on your spouse to do stuff, Midjourney works great on the phone. So
I
awesome.
did notice I
Shannon,
could pull images from there. Thanks so much.
thank you so much. That was great. I see we had a couple requests for some person or some um, what did I say, non-cartoon images. So let's go ahead and do a couple of those really quick here a minute, just to demonstrate how we can do that. We did one of them earlier that you guys may have missed, but let's go ahead and let's create something. Somebody help me out here a minute with a idea of what do I want to say? Something that we could create an image of. Anybody got anything that comes to mind Hyper realistic beach, Jeff says. Okay, let's here we go. So photo of a Gulf Shore beach at sunrise. So again, I'm using Maxime here. I'm going to get 5 different versions. So do we want people, animals? Let's answer it this time. Last time I didn't. So animals and objects, no people. Well, we might want people because we need people. So we just put people because we need to be able to replicate them. People. 2, art style, photorealistic. 3, mood and color. Let's go for peaceful. 4, color preferences. Golden hour, we'll call it. If you're familiar with having done photography, that's going to give it a specific light. And this will be for a website. All right, so let's see what we get. We're going to get some images here, or some prompts, I should say. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to copy it again right up to this. Now, we could put these Midjourney prompts inside it. It will actually, I'll prove it to you. It'll actually work just fine. It does know these. So let's go ahead and paste that in. And this is going to get a little bit different because it's specifying a different aspect ratio than I've been using in that. And that's perfectly fine. But we'll take this and we'll create all 5 of these really quick. And then we'll show you, we'll find one of them that we want to create and see if we can do something. Now, I haven't got these dialed in, so we may not get exactly what we want for replicating an image, but we should be close. And here's prompt number 5. And let's see what we get. So Jeff, I appreciate you bringing this up. This was a great one. Let's see where we're at here. So definitely more photorealistic. It's not quite done yet. We'll let this finish up here a minute. We'll look a bit less blocky as soon as it's done. There we go. So not bad for photorealistic. Again, more like a drone shot there that we've got. Oh, got to go in the right direction. There we go. Couple walking down the beach. Definitely looks like something that could be real. That's a cute one. The kids, I like that one. Kids playing on the beach. Another good one. Great, some great faces in there. Let's see what else we've got. Didn't like that one. That happens once in a while. Let's see, get past it. This one looks very different, but again, potentially realistic. And we're not quite done with the group of friends. So let's go ahead, in this case, let's go see if we can grab one of these with the kids. I thought the kids one was super cute. So let's go ahead and save that one. And now, instead of building a sandcastle, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this text just to say what we can do. We're going to keep the beach scene and the sunrise, but instead of building a sandcastle, we'll say playing in the mud with the sun rising, golden rays, photorealistic, everything else looks good. And we're going to go ahead for omni-reference, and we're going to upload that image that we just took of those 2 kids. Doesn't want to do that. Oh, we're having problems, guys. I love it when that happens. Not. Try one more time. I don't know why it's giving us fits, but it is absolutely giving us fits. I'm going to reload here a minute and see if that will fix anything. If not, we will come back to that in a little bit and see if it's fixed itself. I had this problem earlier today. There we go. Looks like it's going to upload. So omni-reference, there we go. So children building a sandcastle. In this case, we were going to change that to playing in the mud. All right, so let's go ahead and try that. And we should end up with similar images here when we're done. It's going to create 4 of them. Now, this time it defaulted back to my 4:3 resolution because I didn't specify any of that, but we'll give it just a moment here and see what happens. Let's see here. Waiting patiently. I don't do well on waiting patiently, but we're coming along. So just as a reminder where we're doing it, this was our base image that we started with. So just take a quick look at that. The little boy and little girl, curly hair, really cute. Everything looks well proportioned. I see the right number of fingers when I can see fingers and all that. Definitely looks like a great photo. And let's take a look and see if we have similar. without, I know the lighting's different, but without looking at it, we can see they're playing now in what could be mud. And it certainly looks like it could be the same two children. They didn't get in a real close, but that definitely looks like it could be the same two children. So Jeff, I hope that answers your question on that about just an example of how you could use that for photorealistic. Obviously, we could play around with it some more, but there's a quick example for that. Let's go back to our questions. Jaquine, you're next. What's on your mind?
Yes. Question for you or someone in the audience. Do you or someone in the audience have a type of a Midjourney cheat sheet that would, have different categories for lighting or photorealistic, blah, 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 category?
Yeah, there are a number of them out there. I have some I can look for. I don't know where they're at off the top of my head, but I definitely have some. You can specify, we could literally do an entire week-long course on Midjourney and all the things you
Mm,
could put into it. That's why we made this one just about kind of consistent characters, because there's so
hmm
much that you can get into. Definitely encourage you to take a look at YouTube for just Midjourney commands,
Okay.
styles. You can specify all that. Keep in mind, you can also do that in Maxime. So if you want to specify a specific camera, specific lighting, Maxime has been trained on all of the Midjourney stuff. So if you kind of specify what you're looking for, it will pull a lot of those characteristics in, if that makes sense.
So it could probably give me a guide.
It could give you a basic guide. It's designed to do prompts. I don't know how much it would do, but
Oh,
it could give you a basic guide. Absolutely.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Shakeen. Jeff, you are up next. Thanks for the question about the pictures. What's on your mind? Oh, you're muted, Jeff.
All right, so cool. Thank you for this training. This was great. The question I had, and someone else asked it in the chat, was more around corporate headshots, things like that. Like if I was to just take a picture of me and then do hyper realistic photos of me in different situations, or you, or
It will work, but not near as well as like a trained LoRa with Flux. If you want to do headshots, I still recommend using a Flux LoRa to do that. It's going to do it much better and much more consistently. But yeah, I mean, if let's say especially if you've ever been in the agency world and you need to do a new headshot of somebody and they give you one LinkedIn photo and they want others, yes, you could do that. You might have to create 20 or 30 photos, but you could do that and you will likely get one of them that's passable to everybody but their wife.
I had that happen. All right, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jeff. No, good question. Appreciate that. All right. Barack, you're next. What's on your mind?
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you very much. As everybody said, I started out with Flux training, FAL.ai, life-changing.
Yep.
So I'm
Oh,
spitting out images of myself right and left. But what I really wanted to do is develop a cartoon character of myself and put that character in different situations for our social media, for my business. So how would you go about executing that?
perfect question. So let's go back. Let's just search back here a little bit because I'm sure that I've got some in here. Let's see if I can find a cartoon character. Okay, here we go. So here's an example. Now, that's not perfectly me, but this is exactly what I did for these. So I'll share with you what we put together to get there. So we did a 3D cartoon animation, a cheerful 50-year-old male teacher with a long, and what's spelled long that way, white beard and glasses, wizard hat. It missed the hat, but I uploaded mine and if you guys look at me and look at that, hopefully you can see as a cartoon version of me. It may not be perfect, but it's definitely representative of me. Here's another one that I did the same way. I don't think these looked as good, but you can see another example there. Here was another one. Again, I don't think these looked as good. By the way, this is important to remember. When you're doing images in Midjourney or anything else, every one of them is not going to be perfect. You're going to toss some of them. They just aren't all going to look great. But that's the nature of where it is. So let's just say, for example, I want to grab, see if I've got one here that would be a good example. But essentially what you want to do to answer your question is you want to do a 3D cartoon image. So let's try it here, 3D cartoon animation. And let me upload an image. Let's see if I've just got mine. So I'll grab this selfie shot or this shot that I had here. and I'll add that to the image prompt here first. And I'm going to create it, and we're going to see what it does. And then we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to use the other settings. So we're going to use text, simple prompt. This time we're going to do style reference. And now we're going to do omni reference. And you go, why are we doing all three? Well, we want to be able to basically experiment here and see which is going to get us closest to where we want to go. And once we've done that, we can play around with it. And so here we go. This is, you can see it starting. So this was image reference. And image reference means it's looking at that image from kind of a style. So notice how all four of these crossed arms, because that's what we asked it to do, to monitor that style. It got white beards on everybody. It got crossed arms. It got glasses. But it doesn't necessarily look like me because we didn't do omni reference. Then we did the middle reference. As you can see, didn't have anything at all to do with me because it was really looking at style there, and there wasn't a lot of style. It was pretty much me on a black background. And then we did these, and these should be the closest. I think this is the closest right there. There we go. Not exactly, but now that's what it thinks is me when I just say 3D cartoon animation. It also gave me these 2 and 3. So apparently I need to smile more often because these are all massively frowning. But hopefully that gives you an idea, excuse me, of how you could pull that in and the way you might do that over time. All right, Bill, you're up next.
Yeah, you come off more cheerful than those images. So
I'm glad. I hope so. I'm like, man, that guy looks like he's just mad at the world.
no kidding. Maybe it's just that morning.
Yeah, it might have been,
Okay. Taking the images and using them, some of the things we do use in presentations, and you'd mentioned Manus for putting together some of your guides and things. Do you have a preference over Manus versus Gamma?
Two totally different tools in my mind. If I'm doing a presentation, I'm going to use Gamma to do it. It's going to make the layout and everything else just much, much better than anything else. So I'm definitely going to use I'm not going to use Manus for a presentation. I would use Gamma hands down for that. I would use Manus. I wouldn't even use Manus to like write the content because it's not that much content typically. What I would do is like in this case, I knew I wanted and I think I told it to write a 8 to 15 page guide on Midjourney consistent characters. And let's take a quick look here. I don't remember how long it was. Let's take a look at what I just shared in the screen with you guys. So here, nope. That was it just telling me, there it is. So we ended up with 16 pages. So this is what Manus created, including the tables and everything else. I could format it and make it a little bit prettier. But from an ease of use, what I did is I went into Manus and I basically gave it some information from Midjourney on the differences between image prompt, style reference, and omni reference, and then told it that I wanted to be creating, well, I mean, I can show you here real quick what I did. It's probably Manus. There we go. So here's what I did. Yeah, I'm looking for a user guide that I can provide to my audience of AI enthusiasts to help them learn how to follow up features in Midjourney. 7, to create more consistent characters. Please review the following information, do the appropriate research, and help me create a micro guide. I said 3 to 10 pages. It blew that away. That's all right. That I can provide my audience to teach them how to use these new features in Midjourney to create more consistent characters. And then I gave them more. You can see that's that I gave them there. And then it basically asked me a couple clarifying questions. It went ahead and created it, and it ended up creating this markdown document that you see right here.
Nice.
So
okay.
That's maybe a little different. I don't know if that's helpful, but
No, that's helpful. That's actually, for some of the things we're doing, it helps to have just the guide like that. And
yeah, I use it a lot for my training stuff when people are like, I need an overview guide. So I can take like 6 hours of transcripts from one of my challenge trainings. I can feed it into Manus. I can give it to ChatGPT too, but it doesn't create as extensive of a document. Manus will just do more. And because it's using Claude on the background, I like the way it writes better. And so I can feed that into Manus and I can get some really good guides. And if you've used Claude at all and you like it, again, that's what Manus is using behind the scenes. So again, as a writing tool, I find it works really well.
Does your team have access to your Midjourney and all that? Or do you have a team account for that? Or is it, hey, we just give them access straight to that program?
We give everybody has access. We don't do the team plan, but we then have a shared Google Drive and we just upload relevant images for different campaigns and all that. And then we share prompts. Now there's some subtle differences and in my case, I let my team kind of do what they want as long as they keep with the overall theme of where we're at. So like our new challenge that we're running for next week on avatar advisory boards, I didn't create any of the images for that. My team created all of them, but they still are kind of 3D Pixar type. And to me, it's important to kind of empower them to do some of that. And even though I might have looked at a couple of them and said, well, maybe I would have tweaked that a little bit, they need to be empowered to be able to do that too. So as long as they're maintaining that brand consistency, I'm good with that.
Cool. Thanks. Can you drop
Yep,
the
great
link
question.
into the chat for the Avatar Advisory Board too?
Yeah, let me find that real quick and I can do that. Hang on just a moment.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, bear with me. Well, just because I don't have it handy right here, but I can find it real quick. I should have been ready for that, but I'm not.
Hey, you will be now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have it now. So, all right, there we go. And I'll put that over in the chat here a minute. Avatar Advisors 2.0. There we go. There's the link
Thank
if you
you,
guys
sir.
have questions about that. Absolutely. All right, let's see. Next up is Kathy, or I'm sorry, Catherine. I didn't mean to call you Kathy. It's Catherine.
It's
My
okay.
apologies.
It's okay. I go by Kate and I don't even know how to change that and I don't have time to worry about it. But
All right, well then we'll go with Kate. I like that. What can we do for you,
taking my
Kate?
call. Okay, so actually, I think Shelly just shared styles. I was looking for more of a black and white line of an image. So like your zebra in a coloring book in a boat.
Oh yeah, perfect. Let's go share our screen and let's create one a minute here. All right, so I'm gonna go back over to Maxime again just because it makes life a whole lot easier for me. So, and I tend to do the transcribing, so you'll hear me talking through this real quick. I need a coloring book graphic. Decided I didn't like, hang on. Coloring book image, black and white line drawing of a giraffe standing in a boat in the water. This should be designed as a toddler's coloring book image. So let's see if we get what we want here or not. We should get 5 prompts. Notice I'm trying to describe really carefully that I want it to be black and white and toddler style. The reason I do that is if we play around with it, you'll be able to find out quickly that it can create like adult coloring books. Not that I want to say it's adult themed, but that it has, much more capability to, much more coloring or whatever, much more detail. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's
And then
paste
to
that in
take
here.
that, for example, while it works, then
Go
to
ahead.
take that and put it into for example, instead of a boat, into a treehouse, then you would just use the image that you liked from those and put it into the Omni channel.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and hopefully this one works up. I don't know what the creation went wrong is. Obviously, Midjourney is getting some heavy usage because we've had a few errors here, but we'll just we'll grab this one. So which of these, if this one's number 1, 2, 3, and 4, which one do you like best, Kate?
I almost think that they're too detailed. How do you
Okay.
how do you tell how do you like dumb it down for Midjourney?
Well, we would need to then prompt it again. And so let's go back into Maxime. And I would just say, these are great, but they're too detailed. I need them to be less detailed and more toddler coloring book style. And we're going to let it tell me what we should do instead. So let's go ahead and just grab one and see if this works for us. We'll just do one again to see how we come in and if it works for us or not.
Yeah. So it's
Cross our
basically
fingers that we
a
do.
trial and error sort of a thing, really. There's no
It is massive trial and error with images. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're getting a little closer, but probably still not where you want to go. But yeah, we want to just, and I've done coloring book images before in Midjourney, so it's been a while. And I do remember once I got it, it was really easy, but I haven't created them in so long. I don't
Oh,
remember
that's
the exact prompt I used.
yeah.
But yeah, you want to focus on black and white line drawing, very minimalistic, that type of thing to get where you want. I think we should probably add into this like no shading. That would probably help.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just didn't know if there was like a secret word.
Yeah, I wish there was. Now there are, if you want to create them inside of ChatGPT, there are some custom GPTs in ChatGPT that specialize in coloring book images. You could always create some there and then bring it into Midjourney in order to like replicate and put it in different scenarios where we uploaded that and used that as an Omni reference, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So that might be a good place to start.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thanks, Kate. Appreciate it. All right, MH, you're next. What's on your mind?
Yes, it's actually Piggy telling backing off of her question because I wanted when I seen you go into ChatGPT, I seen that you're not highlighting the last line when you're copying the prompt. It's
Yeah, let's take a look here. I
can
honestly don't remember. Yes, this part here.
so don't highlight that.
You can, this is again, this Maxime is designed for creating Midjourney prompts inside of Discord. I've not updated it yet for this. So let's try one and see if it gives us any grief or not. It may or may not work well. It's going to remove the quotes because otherwise Midjourney will try to put text in it.
And then yes, and what do the quotes mean? Like what would the quotes make a difference?
Well, yeah, good question. So if I put quotes in, what will happen is it will actually try to take the text in the quotes and add that to the image.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I
make
don't
sure
want to
to
do that.
remove quotes.
If it has quotes, yep, just don't include the quotes. So these are entirely different when we put that in there. It added obviously the stylize and the chaos and all that. So we could go ahead and
Okay.
adjust this and try that same one here. So it's definitely just a matter of experimenting again and trying to find what fits what you're looking for. But yeah, Maxime will work just fine. Most any of these will work. This last line that you see here, though, those are done specifically for Midjourney. These are the aspect ratio, the version. That's part of the problem.
Did you
It's using
mean
version 5.
did you mean Discord or Midjourney?
I'm Midjourney under Discord. I'm sorry, I didn't say that quite right.
Okay, because
So,
yeah, I've never used Discord, so I'm so unfamiliar. So just so I'm
yeah,
sure, so I
just
would go in
to make it easy, just take the bold text and copy that part without the
without the
quotes.
quotes. And then I also wanted to see when go back to that other to Midjourney. Are you for this one you put all 5 prompts in at the same time?
Well, I mean, I went through one at a time, like when we were doing these down here. So we started right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put them in so I get to see them come up, and then I work through it from there, if that makes sense.
So you put in you put prompt number 1, boom, and then you ran it.
Yep.
Then you went
And
back,
then
grabbed prompt
number
2, grabbed
number
it.
3, number 4,
Okay.
and then number 5.
And then you added the Omni
Right.
once you got one that you liked.
Yep, right here. So we took that one and then we added this in as the Omni image at that point. You can click on it and I can see, so you can see that was set as Omni reference.
I think that's the part I'm getting confused. So you picked one of these images, you downloaded it, and then you put it into the Omni reference.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, the Omni reference basically means it's going to use, just like it says here, it's going to use that person's likeness or that object's likeness is basically the focus it's going to do.
Okay. And then okay, so you download it to your computer though, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. And do you have some kind of system for your downloads? Do you just delete every time?
I just have this massive download folder. And
Okay.
I'd love to say I'm organized. I'm not. I really trust on the technology to find what I need. So
Okay. Yep, this helped a lot. And then the style reference, because I wasn't I still haven't been, I'm seeing if other people are going to get it answered, but I'm still not too different between like the style references and the Omni reference. I see you're using one more than the other.
Yeah, well, let's just do it here. So we'll do the same thing. And this time we'll look up at a style reference. So remember, style is the style of the image. It's not the characters of the likenesses. So if I do this,
Oh, I'll show you.
it's gonna create another similar styled image that I did. It's more applicable for cartoons and that type of stuff, but it's gonna follow that. So let's just say in this case, we wanted to follow this sunset style, but instead of let's find instead of Gulf Shore Beach, let's do New York City Park. And then we'll do that same thing as a style reference. And we should have the same, great. I love it when it does that. Not
Oh,
really, I'm kidding.
I
I don't know what's
know.
going on today. It's definitely not loving us today. And we'll see what happens. There we go. Now it's thinking its way through. So
And this is when you click style reference and not Omni.
correct. So this time we did style. Now, the other thing we didn't talk about that you can do, I could do both style and Omni, but notice in this case, again, we're New York City Park during sunrise, children playing in the mud. And so it should look different, but notice how the colors are very similar to that first one. So it's got a similar kind of style to it, even though it's different individuals and different location.
Okay, but then a different location would have been a park, but it still put it at playing in the mud.
It's
So
definitely
that's the
struggling.
downside to it.
Yeah, it's definitely struggling here. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, so
again,
do you recommend that
generally
feature or no?
not for consistent characters. It's different purposes. So we'd spent a moment talking about it just because I wanted you to be aware of it. But for consistent characters, you really want to use the Omni reference. That's what's going to allow you to create those consistent characters time and time again. So
Okay,
again, if
now yes, when there's too many
Yeah.
menu options, I just get overwhelmed with my brain. But
No, that's all right.
yeah,
So
so
let's-
just knowing that the Omni one is the main one for the consistent
Yep.
images.
Let's
Okay.
take a look. We'll do something totally different. So we'll just, and I do a lot of cartoon images. So if you like photos, I apologize. But
Yeah, no, I
I'm gonna take-
love them.
I'm going to
Yeah.
take this one. So we're going to download this to my computer. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to use the same text here. I'm going to use something totally different. So let's go grab this text here instead. So notice that created a teacher with red hair. So totally different. Now I'm going to go into Omni reference and I'm going to see if I can upload this last image. Let's cross our fingers it works. It's not working. What's going on? Come on. All right, last time we had to reload. Let's try to reload a couple times and see if that works. We'll find that image here. Got to scroll back, got a lot of them. Hang on, we'll find it. It was easier when I wasn't trying to find a specific one. So let's go, here's a brunette, that's fine. So we'll use this text. And then we're gonna, if it works, we're gonna upload this picture of there we go. So now we're gonna, in Omni reference, we're gonna upload this image. So it's now gonna use that character's likeness to try to put this in place. Now, a couple things that aren't gonna work, I've got to fix. So this one does not have short curly hair. So I'm going to remove the descriptors that would contradict with this, if that makes sense. So we're gonna remove that one. Because I don't want Midjourney will get confused and it'll go, hang on, you uploaded a picture of a woman with gray hair and you now want brunette, what's going on? Let's try this and see if this works. So this should give us a different look, but with that same woman or a very similar looking woman to create that. So yeah, again, for the purposes of our training today, Omni reference is really the key part to remember. That's going to create that consistent character. And it looks like we're going to do a pretty good job of that. Let's see how it comes through. It's always a little hard to tell while it's building, but if you remember that first image that we had, this woman looks very, very similar to her, but in obviously an entirely different setting. So that makes a big difference.
Okay, so this is how you consistently do yours.
Right.
That's so
Exactly.
cool. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I need the step-by-step smartest
I'm glad you
for
asked. No, that's
for a
that's
5-year-old to
perfect.
follow.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
Queen,
thank you.
no problem. Thank you. Queen, you're next. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan. First off, I want to say thank you for this class. It's been absolutely amazing.
Thank
You
you.
answered my question with the other characters when for the lady that was before me. But I got a quick tip for you.
Please.
Describe on the web. You can actually describe on the web. You just have to do it
Okay,
a little
cool.
different. So if you can go back, I'll show you how to do it.
Oh, that would be awesome. We'd love to do it. Describe is one of my favorite features,
Yeah.
but I have not used it. So how do we do it?
Okay, so just click on any image from right there. Just no,
Okay.
on the image itself. No, no, don't go all the way in. Just click on it, right click on it.
Oh, right click on it. I got it. Hang on. Right click. Oh, looky there.
There it
There it
is.
is.
And
There it is. I didn't even know they had the right click stuff, so that's really cool. Look at all this, all kinds of stuff I can use here. I can specify it right here. Zoom, all that. That's really, so they're super fast if I want to do that.
yeah,
That's fun. Oh, that's great. Queen, thank you so much. That's amazing.
you're
Can you
welcome. And
use
there,
the feature?
describe, I
Yep.
use it all the time. It's
Yep.
amazing.
We'll
And
use
there's
it right here. So there you go. And it's given me multiple prompts that represent this image. So I can now take any one of these and watch this. We can click use prompt
yep.
and we'll just create it. We'll create all four of them real quick and we'll see how it did. So just click
Absolutely.
Queen. That's awesome. Again, I've said that with you, with Shannon. I love it when our community gets involved. And let's see how we do here. This should create. So here is our just as a reminder, this was our base image that we were working on. So everybody take a quick look at that. And it's interesting. Now we notice we didn't upload any consistent characters. So we're going to get different looking characters because we didn't we just added. But this is fun. You know, we're getting similar but different perspectives. And this is great if you want to, like, if you're at that spot where you're trying to figure out how do I find my character that I want to make consistent, this is a great way to do that because you can see it's creating similar but yet different characters across the board. So I could go through and pick the one that I like, and maybe I say what I really like is, I like this lady right here. Now I could download that and I could make consistent versions of that if I wanted to. By the way, if I was going to use this, notice sometimes Midjourney will do it. It'll throw in stuff like this. I don't think it actually is a real logo. I think it's just part of the training data it had there. I would go into Canva or whatever, and I would remove that so I wasn't using that in the future and kind of continuing with that. So, Queen, thank you. That was amazing.
You are so welcome. Thank you,
Awesome.
Jonathan.
Love it, love it, love it. Carmela, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for your training. I have a quick question. Shannon mentioned mood boards. Can you explain those to us and how they help to create more consistency with different prompts and characters?
Yeah, so in its simplest term, probably not as well as Shannon, but a mood board is basically the colors, the emotion, the things like that that you want your image to convey. That's what that's going to be. So when we're doing branding in particular, you'll oftentimes want to set that up where there's certain colors that you want to use, fonts you want to use, and then emotions that you want those images to convey. So that's how I determine a mood board. I don't know who said it first, but if anybody else wants to chime in and let me know if I've messed that up in any way, feel free. That was kind of my thoughts. All right, nobody's unmuting that I see. So does that make sense, Brooke? That's kind of the goal we're going for there. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't Brooke. That was somebody else, wasn't it? Brooke, you're up next. Brooke, what's on your mind?
Hey, I just have this is not nearly as fun a question, but
That's okay.
So I've been on through Discord, right? I've been paying through Discord. Are these connected? So I do like this interface much better. Okay, so any image I create here on this interface and the prompts, will they be saved in my Discord account?
I'm not sure they go from the web to Discord, but I know they go from Discord to web. So if you log in to midjourney.com and it'll ask you if you want to connect to your accounts when you go to the web version. I had to go through that and crossed my fingers it was all going to work, and it all did.
Exactly.
Yep. So that was good. I don't think that I sync from the web to Discord, but I do know when I create on Discord, it does sync to the web. So I think it's only a one-way sync right now.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No, great question. Dallas, you're next. What's on your mind?
Yeah, me again, Jonathan. What I was asking was, this is all great, but in terms of security and privacy of, uh, ownership of information, let's say, because I know somebody had asked earlier about, could you use a style of some sort without copyright or
Like
infringement, that kind of
Hanna-Barbera,
thing.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I'm asking about is, let's say you come up with an original IP. How much of this, you come up with 80 different, iterations, and you pick one or two of them, and what does Midjourney do with things that you did? Maybe they're close to your IP. Is that stored in their databases? Is that something that someone else at some point could look at? You get where I'm going with it?
Yeah, so good question. So everything you create in Midjourney is available for the community to see unless you pay for it not to be. So when we're creating these images like this, somewhere in Explorer, these are going to show up. Now, it's not necessarily going to be super easy to find them, but let's go ahead and let's do a search here for 3D cartoon, and let's just see what comes up. Oops, that's create. That's not where I wanted to be. Where's my search? Here's it is. Wrong spot. 3D cartoon. So if I do a search, now this is under Explore. So these are images that other people have created. So if I like some of these, I can certainly look at this. If I like this character here, I can click and see here's the exact prompt that was used to create that. So that is going to be public information. Now you can upgrade your account and pay them more money, in which case they will then not show this to everybody, if that makes a difference.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
by
a
default,
feature.
every image that we've created today is somebody could find if they wanted. Now, it may not be easy to find
Right.
because you can notice as we look through here, we've created quite a few images in the last half hour and there's our
Sure.
hour, and none of them are showing up here. So it's
Right.
not necessarily going to be super easy for people to find, but yes, it is out there. So I
Sure.
hope that answers your question.
No, it does. I just wanted to ask about that. So you could pay to get into a membership where they won't share it, but it will still live in the system. It's just a feature that they won't share it, right? Is that
Right,
how that works?
correct.
Can you go offline with this at all? Is there like a version like you do with
There,
ChatGPT where you could?
nope.
Okay, it's all online.
Yep, all
Okay,
Midjourney is all online.
got
Yep,
it.
great
All right,
question.
thanks. Mhm.
Dallas, that's a good one. I'm glad you brought that up. I know that's a question a lot of people have, so I'm glad you did that. Richie, you're next. What's on your mind? Richie, are you there? We'll give you till 3. If not, we'll come back. We'll go to Gemma next. All right. Oh, there he goes. Richie's got it. There we go.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute.
That's okay.
So I do like wedding group photos sometimes, and I wanted to
Mhm.
know if you could change that into characters as a group, or do you have to have the individual photos?
No, you should be able to do it as a group. It may not do it as reliably as you're hoping, because the more information you have out, the more it may struggle. But what I would probably do in that case, instead of using Midjourney to do that, I would actually use a trained LoRa in Flux, Flux, and I would train a LoRa in the 3D animation style that you want. Then I would upload the photo there and have it, just because I think at that point it's going to work better. But if you wanted to do it, the key here, just so we can go into this, if we wanted to do, let's say we had that wedding photo that we were going to create, when we go ahead and we do the wedding photo in here, when we upload it, we're going to want to upload the wedding photo under image prompts or omni-reference. So try both of them, probably image prompts. And I'm under style references is where I'm going to want to upload a style that I'm looking for. So like under style references here, let's just say I can upload this cartoon style, and I can under omni reference, I can upload my picture, and then I could say 3D cartoon of a man with a white beard. And in theory, it should use the style that we had there of the lady on the blue coat, which was a cartoon style. And it should then use me as the face or the person that it's trying to create. Let's hold tight for a minute and see if it actually does that. So that's a way you can actually combine styles and images together. It looks like we're going to get what we wanted here. Let's find out. It looks like we're coming reasonably close, but we're only halfway there. So can you see how we stacked them there, where we used one as a style and then we used the other as me so that it came close? Now, notice this doesn't look as much like me as some others might, but it still got some of it. It's got my glasses and got my beard, and it definitely did the cartoon character style that we had of the person on the blank background.
Okay, thank
Does that
you.
make sense? Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much.
no problem. All right, Gemma, you're next. What's on your mind?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for a great class.
You're
And
most welcome.
I noticed that each time they do 4 images, are they a credit each or only a credit for one
I
production?
believe it's I don't know exactly how their credit system works. Shannon's up next and she may know more, but there is no option to do anything other than 4. So you're kind of stuck with the 4. That's just the way that Midjourney works when it creates stuff. So I don't know
Okay.
exactly how that works from a credit perspective. I don't even know that it actually uses credits directly. And in my account, at least, it's using hours. And that's how it determines where I'm at on usage. It's hours of what they call processing time. So
Oh,
it's a little bit different.
okay, great. Thank you.
Good question. No, good question. Thanks, Gemma. Glad to have you here. Shannon, you're next. What's on your mind?
I could completely pretend that I already knew this, but I'll pretend instead that you taught me to look things up on Perplexity really fast. And Perplexity says you don't use 4 credits when you generate 4 images. It's a single prompt. So you whatever credit usage that you're using in Midjourney, it's by the prompt, not by the image.
That makes sense because
So there
they
you go.
don't give you the option to change. So that does make
Correct.
sense. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I actually I wanted to ask your permission. Someone asked in the chat if there was if anybody had like a cheat sheet or whatever, and I do have a
Oh yeah.
PDF I can share with the group if
Would
that's
you be
okay.
willing to? That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. I made it to like and mostly I made it for me because if you guys don't know, one of the best ways to learn things is to make yourself either notebook LMs or to make yourself a cheat sheet or a course. And then do me a favor,
Absolutely.
somebody click on that and make sure that I did that correctly to be able to share it. But it says say sharing, so hopefully it
I
works.
see it. I've got it
Um,
up on mine.
but
That's
yeah,
awesome. Thank you,
so
Shannon.
for me, like when I want to learn a thing, I made that for me. That's my cheat sheet so that I could learn all the different like the codes and the resources and just have something. So that's a cool thing you can get ChatGPT or Manus to do for you or something, or put it in Notebook LM so you can like look things up later.
That is
So
amazing. Thank
self-taught with
you.
AI as a teacher. When Jonathan Mast isn't around, I have to use AI to teach me stuff.
I love it. I love it. Is
Thank
there
you so
anything else
much.
we can
This is the
answer for
best.
you?
No, I'm super excited just because this has become a really fun thing for me, and I'm just was really excited to see that you were gonna delve into all the little things. So yeah, thank you
Midjourney
so
brings me
much.
joy as well. I
Yes.
smile when I create these images and I have fun with it. And it's like, it brings my imagination to life. Those
Yep.
people that are like, oh, AI is going to make us less creative. I'm like, you've never used Midjourney because let me tell you,
No. And if
it's
I, and
amazing.
if we love it this, right, if we love it this much, imagine why all the kids I'm working with these things. Like, if I can have fun making a character of me as a superhero or like against a dinosaur, why wouldn't an 8-year-old love that? Like, that's why this kind of stuff is so big, you know?
I agree.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and
love it.
I love the fact that you're teaching the kids how to do it too. So many people are like, "Oh no, we can't." And it's like, let their imaginations go. You told such an amazing story when you gave all those kids iPads in your class and
Yeah.
they developed their own story. As you said, you had a group of what, 7 or 8 year olds, if I remember, and their
We did it
attention
with
was
several groups of ages. Yeah. And the 7 and 8 year
well, they were
olds
just
were
like
like,
focused. I
they were
mean,
in it. Yes.
they weren't up and running around. They weren't causing issues. They were focused on what they were doing and they were loving it.
And they were collaborating with each other and not arguing about, who did what. We used like the old improv rule, which is if I say we're in a theater, you can't say we're at a baseball game. So once someone added something to the story, we had to build on it and not argue. And so
I
I
love it.
heard kids going, "Well, you say a thing and I'm going to do this part." It was great. And, I was saying in another meeting this morning that, anytime kids can hear language or use language than what we use in regular conversation. Like teachers know that's why you read aloud to kids. So if they're getting the language from a large language model or from prompting images, they're still their words. Like they still get to keep that language later. And so when they
Oh
learn to be
yeah.
more specific and like it's just I get so excited because I just feel
I
like it's a
love it.
huge possibility. So
Oh, it is.
yeah.
It
So
is.
thanks
Well,
for helping.
young skulls full of mush that we're molding. I love that. So thank you, Shannon. That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Thank you.
Erie, you're up next. What's on your mind? I hope I'm saying that right. ERE.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I want to know if I want to make a crossword puzzle with pictures, what prompts would I use for this Midjourney?
I don't think Midjourney will do that. I think it might create the pictures for you, but I don't think it would create the crossword for you. Yeah, I think you'd probably want to use Canva or something like that to create the image. I see Jaqueen's up, so in just a moment, we've just, by the way, hit our 2 hours, but I do have a couple extra minutes. When Jaqueen's up, she's 3 more down the row, we're going to go ahead and show how I bring images into Canva and add text. But you're probably going to need to use 2 applications in order to do that. So, by the way, if you're at your limit and you're leaving us at 2 hours, thanks for hanging out with us. The replay will get posted yet this evening. I'll get emailed out to everybody. So if you have any questions, let me know. And we will see you around. But we're going to hang on here for a little bit, answer a few more questions. I've got a hard stop in about 15 minutes, but we'll go ahead and make sure we can answer some questions in the interim. I got to make it look here. I just had somebody shake their head in my office going, I have a hard stop now. So let me check. I think I have a hard stop in 15 minutes. So hopefully I'm right. If not, I'll miss a meeting. Isabel, you're next. What's on your mind?
Hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you. Another
You as
amazing
well.
training. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I just have a quick question, and it has to do with images. I put it in the group, but nobody got back to me, and I was just wondering maybe you have an answer. I was helping somebody train Alora.
Yep.
We did everything. She uploaded the pictures and everything, and then when it hits run, it would say run, but nothing ever created.
So you've trained the Laura, it's been saved, and
No,
then you
no, I
click on
didn't train it. I was showing her how to train it. So I showed her how to create the account, upload the zip folder with all the
Yep.
images, all of the stuff. We were doing a fast Laura training. And
Yep,
then
that's
when she
right. That's
hit the
correct.
little button,
The run
it would,
inference.
no, not the run inference, to create the actual training. So to take all the pictures and do
Okay.
the Laura, and nothing ever created.
Well, all it does is create your Laura at that point. So on the right
I know,
side
but
of
it
the
didn't create the
screen.
Laura. It didn't. We put I went step by step with her. We put the little word, the
Sure.
prompt that you have to put your word, and I did my own again because I've trained like 3 or 4 already, and it worked for me. Could it be something in her computer?
It's possible there might be something in her browser that's blocking a pop-up or something like that. Yeah, without seeing it, I
Okay,
apologize, but
no,
I don't know. Yeah,
I put a video in the group, in the GHL group. So, I mean, if somebody gets a chance to look, anybody in this call gets a chance to look at it,
that'd be
because she
great.
sent me a loom. Maybe somebody has an idea because I feel bad. She's like, I can't create it. And I'm like, I have no idea why.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know either. That's a great question, though.
Okay,
So
no
thanks for
worries.
posting the video. Thanks,
Okay,
Isabella.
thank you so
All right.
much.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. All right, MH, you're back with us. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure, because I think someone's finally getting that question answered. Do you have a training on the Flux, Laura?
I have a video training that we did on it, a whole walkthrough. Yeah. Let me
Okay,
grab
and I
that for you
probably
here
have
now.
it and haven't taken it yet, but
No,
somebody said in the image impact, yeah, if you could put a link, just like I think I
yep.
have it, but that, and then you said, and for that one, if you want to do multiple, like a family, so I have a family of 7, I have 5 children, and like if I wanted to do an image, yes, they're such a blessing. If I wanted to do an image, like a family photo recreate, not just a headshot, is that the right tool for that? Or which tool, is there any tool for
Boy,
that?
I was going to say, I don't know if there is any tool for that one, if that makes sense, just because I don't know. I've never tried to do that big a group. I've tried 2 before, and it's even difficult with 2 people. I'm not sure with 7 how I would do that.
Okay, even with the image references, you're saying, so
Yeah.
even if I put it in
I
there
mean,
as
you could try it. I guess I would probably try it and put it in as the Omni reference and see what it does. But I've never tried that big a group, so I just don't have a good answer for you to tell you,
okay, yeah.
this is going to work or not. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, and then I could use, potentially, I'm gonna say try it in Midjourney and or the Flux Laura.
I would probably start with it in Midjourney and upload it as the Omni reference image and see what it does.
Okay. No, cool.
Yeah,
And thank you
mainly
for
because
the
it's really
link.
easy to do that. I mean, that you can test in 30 seconds and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then you can take a look at doing it in Flux.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Jaquine, you're back. Are you ready to share Canva, or you got another question for me?
10-second question on the subscriptions. Is it the difference only be in terms of how many images and credits you get, or does it also in terms of features?
I believe, although I don't know for sure, I believe the only difference is how much time you get of the fast processing.
Oh,
So
okay.
I believe
Okay.
that's certainly the major difference that's there.
Okay.
But while you're here, I want to go ahead and get back into Canva and show
Okay.
everybody what you asked for, because you asked a really good question, and I think there's probably a few other people that are curious as well. So I'm going to share Canva. Let's go ahead and get over here, and let's say that I need to create an image. So here's a good example. We'll exit out of this. So I was going to create an image for the guide I got started that I shared with you. So that I shared a Google Doc with you. It doesn't have this image on the front of it. This image, as you can see, I created this image using Midjourney. That shouldn't be a surprise. You may have even saw it in my thing. So I literally went into Canva and I created, in this case, it's an 8.5 by 11 for if you were in the US. If you're not in the US, I know you guys use a slightly different style, but an 8.5 by 11 image that we would use as a cover. And I literally just brought this image in. Now, a couple things I love about Canva. First of all, it was really easy to bring in. But the other thing I love about it is I'm going to show you how we can make this pop just a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this image here really quick. Let's see here. How do I do that? Copy, paste. There we go. So you can see I've got 2 copies of that now. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to click background remover on the top image. You go, Jonathan, what are you doing? Why do we need 2 of these? Well, watch. I'm going to lay him on top and I'm going to match him up. And now I'm going to go underneath edit and adjust, and we're going to auto adjust. And I don't know if you saw, but it just made him pop just a little bit more. The highlights are a bit too much, so I'm going to adjust those down a little bit. And we're going to play around until I get him right where I want him. Looking pretty good overall. So we can go that, let's see, intensity, we'll ramp that up a little bit. Nope, can't do that. Let's check our blacks. Yeah, like that, a little bit stronger blacks. Add some more vibrance to them. So now, just if you want to see the difference, you can see this guy's just a little bit brighter and stuff, just a little different. So I can get him to match up. Now I've got layers, and this is where it gets fun. So now let's say I want to bring some text in. I'm literally just going to click text in Canva, and we had called this our Midjourney V7 Express training. So let's put that in there. And you go, well, Jonathan, that kind of sucks. I can't even read that. Well, hang on just a minute. We're going to go up in here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the color of that text to white so I can get what I want. Oops. Go back. Help if I stayed where I want to go. Now I want to make this a little bit easier to do. So I'm actually going to get rid of this. We're going to have Midjourney be 1, and then I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm putting it in. You go, okay, I see you had just had that. Now I can play around with this text and I can have some fun. So let's make this text bigger. And then we'll go to my V7 training and we'll make it match most of it, but I want to bring it over just about to the Y. So we can go ahead and do that. There we go. Like, don't like, whatever. I can do that setup. And now if I want to add some effects, I can go in and add like an outline around this to make it pop a little bit more. And I can do here, and we can do the same type of thing. So this time we'll do just what they call a lift to kind of add a little background to bring that up. And then give you a little hint. I learned this from a trainer of mine. 3 degrees is a perfect amount of tilt to add to text to get and make your eye just catch it without annoying you. So I often will add 3 degrees in there. And now I'm going, well, this is getting good, but it's a little too close to the hat. What am I going to do about this? So not a problem. We're going to move my top character first, move him out of the way. I'm going to select my back and I'm going to move it down just a little bit. So you can see he's now a little bit lower. That's so far so good, but we now have a problem. I'll move, oops. What's our problem? The problem is, notice that white spot we've got at the top, we've got that white space at the top. Well, this is a really cool feature. I can go into edit and I can click over here and go magic expand and say the whole page. It's now going to look at the whole page, and it's going to expand to fill in this white area up here. And it's going to use AI to do this, and it'll take just a second. But when we're moving things around and we need things to fit in a way that they haven't, this is a great feature to use. And now it's giving me 4 options. You can see some subtle differences in how that's put together. This one's just fine. And so now I've got that set up, and I can simply, because I didn't mess anything up overall, there we go. It's got the bleed in there. So there we go. Now I can grab my other guy and I can lay him right on top. I didn't resize him. And now I've got a nice little training that I can do. I can even go in further if I want to brand it. I could go grab my logo and I could
Oh.
throw my logo down in the corner.
Oh.
And now you go, well, that's okay, but hang on, that's kind of, you can't really see that. It's not out enough.
Right.
This is why I love this. We can go in and we'll grab a transparency. We'll take this transparency here and we'll do the same 3-degree twist. There we go. I'll make this a lot bigger. And you're probably going, well, hang on, that's a problem because now we can't see it. We have layers here. And this is what's really cool. Watch when I go to layers, I can move this shading down below my logo. Then my logo pops up, and I can move our new guy up above the shading, and he's going to pop more as a result of that. And now I've got a nice little thing to set up. My logo pops and everything else. It would have taken me, I don't know how many hours to try to get that done in AI to look the way I wanted it to look. And you can see we did that in about 5 minutes.
Quick question. On a lot of your things in the Facebook group, you have an orange background and then words on top of that. How would you change that background, like in Midjourney or V7 Express or whatever, to orange or something?
Perfect. So I've got my character in front. I'm literally just going to delete this. We're going to go ahead and move our character in front now. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle. Grab my brand orange. It's in my brand colors, so I can do that.
Oh, okay.
We'll just drag it behind here. Now it's going to mess things up for a minute. We're just going to go back into layers again, like we had last time. And send it back. There we go.
Mm.
And now I don't really need this bottom shading at this point because of the fact that I've got orange. My logo will show up better on orange. So I can literally delete that black shading just like that.
Okay.
And now what's cool is now I can move my guy around. Now maybe I want him off to the side a little bit. And maybe I go, well, I want him standing on the bottom of the page so I can resize him. Notice I can even put him behind the text at this point like that, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So lots of fun. And in my opinion, much, much faster than trying to get AI to do that with text. AI to create the image, no problem. AI to create that with text, nightmare in my mind. So that's just my 2 cents. All right, I've got time for about 2 more. I'm going to get through what we can. Lisa, you're next. What's on your mind?
Hello, Jonathan. Thank you so much. This is my first live class that I've taken of yours, and I've really learned a lot. Thank you, and enjoyed learning. Quick question for you with regards to Midjourney. Is it easier now with V7 to face swap? So if you wanted to put yourself in the image of Superman, can you do that? Is it easier now?
I've never tried to do it on the web, so I don't know. I've done it in Discord using they actually have a service called Face Swap. I'd have to do research on it, and I don't know. I've never tried to do it in the web interface. It's a great question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa. Kim, we got time for you. What's on your mind?
Well, hi, Jonathan. So I thought that I had bought Image Impact.
Okay.
But it's not in the, in the
Yeah, just email support at Whitebeard Strategies and they'll help you out. Image Impact may have still been a Facebook group too, so it may not show up in your other sidebar in GHL. That may have been before we moved over to high level. But if you're not sure, just email.
You haven't put it over into the new.
No, we haven't migrated those yet. So yeah, you can just email support at Whitebeard Strategies. They can give you all the links and tell you for sure.
Okay. And if I didn't buy that one, sometimes you have codes, okay? Because I have bought a few of them, and sometimes I see codes for a discount. Where can I get that if I haven't bought that?
Next sale is going to, the next, good question. The next sale is in July for Christmas in July.
Oh, okay. I could be patient.
Yeah, that's the next time we'll have discounts. So we'll
Okay.
be there. We have discounts as a you guys, if you're in this, you will in the future you'll get a discount on new courses that come out. For each new one that comes out, you'll save $10. But for that type of special that we do that just 3 times a year, my birthday, Christmas in July, and Christmas season. So
Oh, maybe that's when I saw it, your birthday. Yeah.
yeah, we just did the birthday sale. That was last month. So awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Bill, I have literally got about 30 seconds. Can we try something
You
super
do it in
quick?
30. 2 quick things.
Go ahead.
Can you connect us to your Canva coach? That's somebody that would be really useful for us.
Oh, Canva coach.
And then
You're looking at him.
oh, okay. You mentioned something about the Canva coach. The other one is on the advisor training next week. Do you suggest we go through the first board training that you did, or is it
No.
bring off of where you're
No.
at? Everything's
No,
changed.
in fact, everybody that went through the first board training, if you have that, you'll be getting an email. You're getting free access to version 2 because there's a major upgrade and you guys trusted us 9 months ago. But don't go through both. If you haven't already, if you did, you'll get tons of value out of the new one. But if you didn't, you don't need the old one because the new one's going to replace a lot of stuff.
That was going to be my next purchase, so I'll wait till next week.
You just saved a few bucks then. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate you. Have an amazing evening. This replay will be sent out later tonight. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.